What will the future of real estate look like? Is conventional real estate dying? Join us while we dive into conversations to explore that very question and attempt to demystify current and potentially new real estate trends with the disruptors themselves.
All right. Holy cow. I can't believe I'm actually talking with the broke agent. And do you know how hard it is to get your freaking real name? That took a lot of Google searching. I was like, broke agent, and just pages of data came up and not your real name. So I am so happy to have you on, Eric, and to learn a little bit more of how the heck the broke agent came to be and listen to what you have to share.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I've worked very hard to hide my identity like Batman for years, so I'm glad that it's still difficult for you to find it.
It is still difficult, but I am over the age of 25, so I'm sure anyone under the age of 30 would be able to like pull it up very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also right on the website too.
Right on the website. There you go. Or slide into your DMs, which apparently Matt Leonetti did, which is how you became BFFs.
That's right. That is right.
I mean, I was listening to some other podcasts, and it's a really funny story how the broke agent came to be. Do you mind sharing a little bit?
It came to be very naturally. I was a buyer's agent in 2014. Before that, I was a marketing assistant for a top agent here in Los Angeles. And before that, I was the receptionist at a brokerage called Hilton and Highland in Beverly Hills, where I was answering the phone as the receptionist. I was doing the mail. I was kind of doing little assistant work on the side for other agents. And that's kind of when I realized that I should get my real estate license. There was a lot of action. It was an entertaining, charismatic group of people. And I was like, I like being around this office. I think maybe this could be a potential career, though I had zero desire to be in real estate. I like sports and writing. So I was like, this is not at all what I want to be. Let me just be a temporary receptionist for a little bit, make some money, and then figure it out. And then as a buyer's agent, I was going through the motions of what you should do when you start your real estate career. I joined a team.
Oh, yes.
Well, I'll explain. This isn't what you should do. This is what I thought you should do. I joined a team.
Okay, I was like, can you clarify this?
Exactly. Do not take my advice on any of this. I joined a successful team, and their whole pitch was, I'll get 30% of whatever listing I brought in, 40% of whatever buyer I brought in, but I would get to sit all these incredible open houses where there'd be a ton of traffic. Of course, they sicked me on these dead open houses every Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Fridays. Actually, not Fridays. I just made that up. But every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, I would sit these open houses. And these were all the opens. Again, this is back in 2014, 2015. So this is not when the average days on market was like 28, 29 like it is now. This is when some listings, especially luxury listings, would sit for months, 4 months, 5 months out of the time.
So people weren't banging down the door to get in your open houses.
No, I would sit open houses. So, setting up signs, sitting there for 3 hours, getting the signs back. And these are big 3,000 to 5,000 to 8,000 square foot, really nice houses that take a long time to pack up, turn on all the lights, open up everything. I would sometimes sit these houses and get 1 or 0 people. So
you're like, wow, what have I done with my life? I went to college and here I am sitting in an empty house by myself.
And shocker, you don't make any money when you're just sitting there. So
you don't say. I think a lot of people don't know that though. Like,
no.
I actually don't think people understand that you're not getting paid.
No, unless you're a Redfin agent, in which you could get paid by the hour, which I did consider because I was like, oh, wait, you get paid to just go show these properties? I'm showing these properties and sitting these open houses and making no money. That sounds incredible, actually. So I was doing all that. And then obviously I had a ton of downtime during these open houses.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh at that, but
no, it's okay. And then I was cold calling and I was doing door knocking, and
how was that?
Expired listing packages.
Terrible.
It was as bad as you could think it could ever go. Basically, I have no, and it's my fault. I had no confidence on the phones. I was not.
But you were young, right? Like you were pretty young.
Yeah, I was young, but if I would have prepared more for those actual calls and would have researched the properties more and drove the neighborhoods more before I dropped off these packages, praying that people wouldn't answer the door or the phone because I knew that the conversation was going to be so awkward that I would never even be able to close the deal. So I'm just doing a bunch of things that I knew were never going to work. That's when my friend and I started The Broke Agent. Yeah, we were basically tweeting out the inner monologue of a struggling real estate agent on Twitter, screenshotting those and posting those to Facebook and Instagram, and kind of just building a brand of a struggling real estate agent, because everybody at that time in social media was posting nonstop about success. It was all these incredible real estate agents with the suits and the Josh Altmans, and
Hmm.
Million Dollar Listing was getting popular, and it was motivational quotes and grind culture and all this stuff. And I figured, well, there's got to be other people like me. Turns out 87% of
I
real
was
estate
gonna
agent
say,
population
yeah.
is our broke agents, which is perfect. So I basically was just, tweeting out the anxieties that I had at
Mhm.
these open houses, at these inspections, at these phone calls, appointments, everything. And it picked up traction, and now it is a media company.
Yeah, so I want to get into more of that first, but I heard something about you were cracking jokes at the office as well, right? Like, don't you have one about falling out of escrow?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to retell that one since you already blew the punchline. But yeah, the joke was I would limp around the office and people would say,
Yes.
"What happened?" And I would say, "I fell out of escrow." A real knee slapper. One of my
I,
worst jokes ever. But
I mean,
yeah, I
I
was
found it funny, but like I'm 100 years old, so
well, good, good. I'm glad you found it
yeah.
funny. But
You-
I wasn't like walking around telling real estate jokes like a clown stand-up comedian. But I was developing the relationship with all these
Mhm.
agents and just making jokes conversationally as I do.
It comes so naturally to you as well. And I'm sure like, you learn through osmosis and your experience at the comedy club probably helped build, or were you always a funny guy growing up? Were you the guy at the party telling the jokes, making people feel comfortable or
Yeah, that was always a part of my personality. Definitely starting in high school, throughout college. The Laugh Factory, I was never performing comedy. I was a
the
marketing
marketing
assistant
guy?
there. So
Yeah.
I was posting to their social media. So I was
Hmm.
trying to get people to attend 6 shows at the Laugh Factory Comedy Club. And obviously I saw a bunch of stand-up, was a huge fan of stand-up, and
Hmm.
just naturally am always trying to make people laugh. So it just made sense for real estate because there wasn't really anything else during that
Similar.
time besides lighter
Yeah.
side of real estate, which isn't funny, that was posting stuff to be funny. And I was like, this is
Hmm.
like an untapped audience here, and real estate is the perfect vessel for comedy because
Yeah.
there's just so much hilarious shit that goes on a daily basis. There's so much
Yeah.
pain that happens to an agent on a daily basis that all
I
these pain
know.
points can be turned into a joke or some relatable tweet.
I feel like as an agent myself, you have to laugh at some of this shit because otherwise you're gonna go crazy.
Yeah,
I've even sent my husband some of the memes from the broke agent, and he's not in real estate whatsoever. And like I know if he's opened up Instagram and he's seen like one of the many memes or whatever I send him because I can hear him laughing, and he has no clue. Like he actually has no idea what it's like in the daily like life of a realtor, but he also finds it funny as like a
good.
yeah, so like it's relatable for everyone. Sally in the office is doing something silly as
Yeah, it's
well.
office humor, it's sales
Hmm.
humor, it's commission only humor. It's anyone that's ever bought or sold a house, which is everybody at some point in their life. Everybody's dealt with a real estate
Yeah.
agent. So I think the humor definitely cross-pollinates amongst other industries, but it's really focused on agent to agent humor.
So how did you go from starting this comedic account as an outlet of being like, holy shit, what am I doing? To growing a media company?
This all happened naturally too. So I always knew that this was going to be what I wanted to do with my life once I started the broke agent. I was like, I have so
Hmm.
much more fun doing this and I'm good at it. But I
Yeah.
had no means or no idea how to monetize anything like this. I had no idea what the next step was because I knew there was
Yeah.
value in humor, but at the same time, I knew that just humor was not going to be the way that I have a career in real estate, basically. Like I am not going to
Yeah.
become a real estate comedian. That is one of the lamest forms of life that you could possibly become, unless there's
Yeah.
real estate comedians out there that are actually crushing it. I have no idea. I
Well,
doubt
I
it.
mean, the fact that we don't know is
Correct.
probably,
If I haven't seen any, I don't think they're out there. So I was posting this for 5, 6 years, just growing the brand, kind of knowing
Mhm.
that at some point I was going to come up with something
You
that
just trust
was,
that like this is gonna happen. I
I
I
did.
know if I just stay consistent.
And I was still doing real estate. I was writing for a cryptocurrency blog. I was writing sports blogs. I was doing social media consulting. And then basically the switch flipped kind of 2019 when I
Mhm.
came out with an ebook, which is an Instagram growth ebook, where I
Mhm.
realized that I really knew what I was doing when it came to getting Instagram engagement, how to, trend hack, how to get followers, how to interact with people online, how to basically gain and maintain attention. And I really knew how to do it from a real estate agent perspective and how
Mhm.
to articulate that message to real estate agents. So I came out with this ebook basically to build my database, to build my email list. And it got like a couple thousand downloads. And I was like, oh, okay. Like there's
All
something
right.
here. Like
Yeah.
humor could be kind of, the hook into the knowledge that I actually can provide. So I started doing more blogs about social media and how agents can grow on Instagram and kind of
Mhm.
highlighting different agents that were starting to do comedic stuff like a Matt Leonetti or a
Mhm.
Derek Gregory or this guy named Dick Slider is his Instagram name in Australia.
Okay,
Sorry for
there you
the,
go.
yes, it's his name, not mine.
Missed
Um,
opportunity, we'll call it.
yes, yeah, exactly. And I was starting to highlight all these kind of funny agents that were popping up in
Mhm.
2019, 2020. That's when Matt Leonetti reached out to me and I highlighted him in my Instagram story. And then we became friends. And then I started something called the BNN, which was the Broke News Network, which is kind of like the first arm of a real estate media company where I would
Mhm.
go to my friend Ben Fisher's house. He was an agent in Long Beach. And we'd just film an 8 to 10 minute episode in his garage and talk about the real estate market, Instagram strategy, the real estate news, and kind of make it like the weekend update, SNL style of what's
Mhm.
going on in real estate. We did that to Instagram TV, which is probably not, remember IGTV?
I do, but I didn't really pay any attention to it. It was just like at that point, I just felt that it was too much. I couldn't learn one more thing.
Yeah, no one paid attention to it. And including the show did well, but then we started, that's right when Instagram Reels came up. So we started cutting all
Right.
these down. But this was a very time consuming, expensive process because we were paying a video editor. We didn't have sponsors, but it was kind of like my first front
Mhm.
facing content. During all this, I'm doing constant ebooks, growing my email list. I partner with Coffee and Contracts, who we're an affiliate
Mhm.
with, where they have an entire template platform for marketing and posts and social content for real estate agents. So I was creating content for them. So I finally started making a little bit of money to the point where I could stop doing real estate and just focus on this. And then Matt and I started the OverAsk podcast. There's no overhead. I could film it right here. And we
Mhm.
started interviewing the best real estate experts and
Your
agents
first guest right out of the gate were like freaking bananas, like Ryan Serhant.
and Jordan Cohen. Yeah, the number one
Yeah.
Remax agent. The goal with
Like
the podcast,
she's
start
crazy.
big because
Mhm.
once you have that huge guest, you can leverage that guest and be like,
Mm.
oh, I had on Ryan Serhant. You want to come on my
Mm.
podcast? And it's like, oh, well, if you talk to this guy, then you must be
You're
huge.
you're legit.
Exactly.
Too legit
Um,
to quit.
exactly. So the podcast got a lot of traction and it was really fun because we were just learning so much from all these agents. We were learning
Mhm.
YouTube from Jeremy Knight and social from Tay DeCarlo and
Mhm.
TikTok from Glenda Baker and all these kind of real estate personalities that were really blowing up during kind of the golden era of content creation 2020,
Mhm.
2021. It's the pandemic. Everybody's listening to and consuming this content. Then Byron Lazine, who's my partner in BAM, we were talking about doing some sort of funny real estate course, kind of real estate for dummies, how to not fail your first 5 years in real estate. Matt
Well,
asked
5 years
eventually,
is generous. Like I think like one, 1 to
exactly, how to
3.
not fail in your first year. So we created this course and we never promoted it because we are like, coming out with a course just like right off the bat, that just seems so cliche.
Mhm.
But we were like, let's wrap a media company. Like, let's create
Mm.
products. Let's create a media company. We're looking at what Inman News is doing and kind of all these legacy media companies and realizing that they haven't evolved to how
Mhm.
people are consuming content today. They're not doing podcasts. They're not doing YouTube. There's
Mhm.
no social clips. It's headlines and then it's blogs behind a paywall.
Mhm.
And Inman's a great media company, but I felt like the space needed disrupting, as they always say. And I was like,
Mhm.
how do I want to consume content? I want to consume content from personalities that I respect and that I find entertaining. I want to consume
Mhm.
content social first. I don't want to have to type in a blog. I want to be able to just see the clip. I want the
Yes.
information thrown into my face, and then I
Mhm.
want to have the blog and the email and everything as well. So Byron and I started now BAM.com, which is BAM Media, formerly Broke Agent Media. And now we have like 7 podcasts, 4 blogs a day, a staff of 12, a course and training platform,
Mhm.
and it's a full-blown media company with events and everything.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna talk about Bandcamp. So how I even got the audacity to even like slide into your DMs, like I guess Matt did. I was on one of your trainings a few weeks ago or a month ago, maybe with Emma Pace.
Yeah, she's great. Emma and Tom Story.
I freaking loved her. It was like a
Hmm.
5 day, maybe like it was an hour
The
each
5 day
day.
challenge.
Yes, I did the challenge. I got some gold from that, by the way.
Oh, it's
I've been
great.
been sharing that with some of the ladies in my ecosystem, but Emma is freaking hilarious. I was
Hmm.
just like, you seem like a fun person to have a beer with. And
Hmm.
then you had mentioned something about podcasts. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. But you guys also talked about BAM Camp. So let's talk about BAM Camp. It's coming up in April.
No, so we have one in June 6th
June.
in Washington,
Okay.
D.C. We haven't even released it to the public yet, just to our
What?
BAMX members. So become a
Okay.
member of BAMX, and then you can get a
Mm-hmm.
25% discount to BAM Camp. But we
Okay.
threw our first one back in, it was September of 2023 in Naples, Florida. That's where the shirt came from. We had 100
Got you.
people there. We had incredible speakers. It was a real fun, intimate event with a
Yeah.
happy hour after, just nonstop value, no fluff,
Mm-hmm.
incredible presentations on YouTube and AI. And we had the Knowledge Brokers podcast live with Tom Toole, Lisa Chinati, and Byron. We had myself, Haley Ingram there, Coffee and Contracts, Leonetti
Mm-hmm.
opened. We had Tata DiCarlo keynote it. It was really fun to actually throw an event where people walked away being like, I got
Holy
so much
shit.
value out of that. Like there was only
Yeah.
100 people. This feels like the beginning of a
Mm-hmm.
new wave of real estate events where it's not the same Inman conference or whatever conference over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again.
I love it. I would also say that that challenge week, I got a lot out of that. And
Yeah.
I, for some reason, I thought BAM Camp was online, but it's in real life.
BAM Camp is in real life. We do
Wow.
a lot of online free challenges,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a great brand builder. It's a great email
Yeah.
builder. That's why we do so many webinars, is
Mm-hmm.
because we want to show people like, like us, know us,
Mm-hmm.
trust us. This is fun. Like you're going to get so much
Yeah.
information. Come to our events later on, join our email list, join BAMX. Like it is by
Mm-hmm.
far the best, like most easiest way to get someone's email. And they're fun to do. And we like giving out that information. We want to own the digital event space in real estate. We just did an event called the BAM Pro Bowl where we had a national anthem. We had Sirhan speak at that, and we got, here's an exclusive for you, BAMchella, the Coachella of real estate
All
digital
right.
events coming up in April.
You guys, and I'm saying you guys, like collectively, you and your partner, have really been able to look at really creative and effective strategies. Like, where do you come up with this stuff? Like, does it just, are you one of those people who go to bed and then you have a dream, you wake up, you're like, this is what we're doing. We're bringing 100 people together. We're going to have happy hour. It's going to be awesome. Like, you're kind of on the cutting edge and pushing boundaries. And yeah, like, where does the inspiration come from?
Well, thank you. I wish it came to me in dreams where I just woke up and had these ideas, but that's definitely not the case. We have a great team around us of talented creators and
Mhm.
writers and our staff who are all very creative, smart people who are on the cutting edge in the sense that they're consuming so much content from other
Mhm.
media companies and from other industries that these aren't all original ideas. Like throwing digital
Mhm.
event is not our idea.
But you're
Calling
doing
it
it better.
calling
You're
it
being
BAM
creative.
Pro Bowl and then adding
Mhm.
in our humor and our entertainment factor. That's the hook. That is
Mhm.
the differentiating factor between us and other media companies and other events is,
Mhm.
oh, I'm going to go there. Like, I know Matt Leonetti because he's funny and he's going to make me laugh. Like, do you know how much more valuable that is when you walk away or when you're listening to a
Yeah.
podcast and you're laughing and getting the information? It's like, driver's ed. You could either take the one where it's boring or you could take the
Yeah.
one that's funny. The one that's funny has like a
Mhm.
90% retention or success rate compared to the
Mhm.
other one because you're just bored out of your tears reading, content behind some paywall or something.
Mhm. And there's a space for both, certainly.
Correct.
Like, there's some dinosaurs or folks who are, more in line with that older way of consuming and learning. But I would agree. I would rather laugh and take notes and retain a couple nuggets, or at least be like, oh, I'm gonna follow this person I never heard of. Like I didn't know who Emma was until that challenge. I'm like, and now I follow her on Instagram. It's this continuum of stalking, I guess.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'll call Emma after this and warn her as to what's going on. But yeah, we're bringing all these people into our ecosystem, all these content creators and entertainers and really good agents too. I think that's also
Mhm.
what differentiates us is we're not just yapping out of our ass here. Like I know what I'm doing when it comes from real estate marketing or
Mhm.
talking
Yeah,
to agents about marketing because I'm in it every day, right? I'm
yeah,
posting constantly. I'm posting
yeah,
to multiple accounts. I know how the algorithm works. I know how to get emails. I know how to set up events. I know how to set up lead pages and magnets and all these things because I'm in the trenches of it. Byron runs the number one team in Connecticut, Tom Toole, number one team in Philadelphia, Lisa
yeah.
in Boston. So we have all these people that are doing it. That's why all this
Mhm.
content comes so naturally is we're actually doing it. We're not just, preaching.
Those who can't do teach type thing, you're
That's what I'm
living
doing.
that.
That's why I can't do it. So I'm teaching now. But
You're
I'm not teaching.
hilarious.
I need to be clear. I'm never teaching people how to sell real estate because that's
No,
not what I was good at. I'm
you're
teaching
like, that's not my
people
jam.
how to
Yeah.
build a brand.
And even if anybody goes to the BAM website, if you look at all your contributors and the folks involved, you've successfully built a crew of like kick-ass folks in all different sort of disciplines within the real estate industry. Like, how the heck were you able to do that? Like, how did you pull that off? Or did it just come organically as well?
That definitely came organically, but we've been very particular about who we want to work with. So,
Mhm.
I've built these relationships and Byron's built these relationships with all of these agents because of all the conferences we've attended. So, I've
Mhm.
met a lot of people at these Tom Ferry conferences or at an Inman conference or wherever. I develop relationships with them. I see the sort of content they're posting. I know how many sales they're doing. And we kind of like not pick and choose, but we want to partner with people who know what they're talking about. Like if I go to a conference and I see Chris Benjamin speak, who's an incredible real estate agent here in Southern California, and I look at his content and it's incredible, and then we do a skit together or something, or I
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, this guy, we got to have this guy a part of BAM. Like he's so motivational. He has such a different way of creating content. He's so creative. We basically say like, we'll help you build your profile with our
Mhm.
platform. And hopefully you get more followers or you get more attention. Like, you got introduced to Emma Pace through us,
Mhm.
and in turn we're getting content, and it's
Mhm.
kind of like just building up the real estate community together, which is awesome. Like we're all about collaborating as much as possible with all these people. There's competition with other real estate media
Of
companies,
course.
of course. I want to
Yeah.
crush all of them and destroy them, but I want to
Yeah.
build up all these agents.
But I think that creating of the community is what's really going to set BAM apart from all of the other real estate media companies, is because like people feel like they're a part of something. Like even when you were talking about Bandcamp, I was like, oh my God, I kind of want to go to Bandcamp. Where's that?
Mhm.
So I think that's a huge differentiating factor. So what happened today? Like when social media is not our friend some days, like today it was offline. Were you offline? I was like, I don't even know if something goes wrong. Like, can he get a hold of me? Because Instagram, I couldn't even log in for a while. I was like, oh shit, this could be very bad for me.
Yeah. Well, good thing it was in our calendar and our
For
email, so I think
you,
we were good. But
old
yeah, so
school.
for reference, depending on when people are listening to this, Meta shut down today. So Facebook, Instagram, Threads. I heard YouTube shut down too temporarily. I don't know if there was
I
some
think
server.
everything but X. I saw
Okay.
some really funny Elon Musk
Yeah, the
tweets or
penguin
whatever.
meme. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, he knows how to take advantage of those situations. He's great at that. He's again trend
Certainly.
jacker. Whenever this happens, and I tweeted this, it does make you reflect on your business. And if you're a real estate agent listening, if that's who this audience is, if social were to shut down tomorrow, if Instagram were
Mhm.
to shut down or your Instagram gets deleted, which happens all the time, right? It gets hacked, it
Yeah.
gets deleted, the algorithm changes. Maybe you were creating one sort of content and then that sort of content stops performing. You do have to look inside of your business and say, is this viable still? Can I still thrive if these
Mhm.
platforms were to be removed? That's why we're always preaching building your email list is the most important thing you could do as a brand, as a real estate agent. Obviously, building your database, the cold calling, the door knocking, like all that stuff is still so important. Like
Mhm.
people think we just preach content creation, but this really does open your eyes. Like if you don't have those personal relationships with people and you're just relying on Instagram for someone to shoot you a referral out of nowhere and have it fall out of the sky, you're going to be
Yeah.
screwed. But I would be
Totally.
screwed, by the way.
Yeah.
I would be screwed. If
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook shut down, thankfully we've built an email list and a blog and a YouTube channel, but it would
Mhm.
certainly take out our main promotional arm of BAM. So
Mhm.
I'm highly aware of that. And that's why we're constantly trying to build on all these platforms, as every agent should try to do, to
Mhm.
make sure that you're mitigating the potential risk of destruction.
Destruction. I
Sounding
love
good.
that.
Yeah.
I was following, and then you dropped this destruction. I used to
Yeah.
do risk management for a decade, very corporate very boring. And I never had destruction in any of my risk matrices, but like looking back, I'm like missed opportunity. People would have
Destruction's a great
maybe,
word. Yeah.
like maybe would
Hmm.
have paid attention when I was in there.
Exactly.
So that's a kind of a nice segue to talk about like trends that you're seeing, or you've talked a little bit about the algorithm and how that's shifted a little bit, but any other sort of like trends or tips that you would have for anyone?
I think trend jacking in general, hopping
Mhm.
on pop culture trends when it comes to posting,
Yeah.
is the number one way that I've grown the Broke Agent account. Anytime there's something happening live in the moment, whether it's a Super Bowl post during the Super Bowl, a meme, or it's the winter, for example, and I'm posting about something that's happening that's cold. I know that's such a elementary example, but my
Mhm.
point is like your content
Yeah.
should be viewed in the moment, right? Like if you zoom out, you
Yes.
look at your Instagram feed and it's all looks the same and you can't differentiate. Was this post done in summer 2022 or winter 2023? Is it updates about the market? Are they using audios that are
Mhm.
trending right now? Is it Taylor Swift content? Is it like you should be able to look at
Mhm.
your content and see, all right, this is something that's really happening right now in the moment. That's the sort of content that gives your engagement and your brand a tremendous boost.
Mhm.
So look at the calendar before every month and see what's coming up. In March, in America, it's March Madness. There's
Oh,
St.
yeah.
Patty's Day. There's, spring training. I look at
Hmm.
everything from like a sports perspective, but there's the Oscars coming up, the Academy Awards. So maybe there's some content you could do around that. What new restaurants are coming out in your hometown? What new coffee shops? What's going on in your market in the moment? What are inventory levels like? This is all content that you have to make constantly evolving.
That's interesting because coffee and contracts is so helpful with some of that content creation, and they have a little calendar that you can follow and make it pretty idiot proof. So, I mean, that's
Yeah,
nice. If you
coffee.
just,
Yeah,
right, like follow the fucking calendar and you're gonna be okay.
exactly. And that's why we create, content for coffee and contracts is we try to do timely content. We have these,
Hmm.
meetings every month, and her team is fantastic where they meet every month, a couple months in advance saying what's coming up in April, how to
Oh,
create
brilliant.
content around April to make sure that it's timely.
Mhm.
Some other advice for agents is with like the algorithm engagement is having constant variety is extremely important. I always preach this, but do
Yeah.
not get, sucked into posting one sort of content style, even if it's Instagram Reels or,
Hmm.
market updates or whatever you're in the groove with. Like you want to keep switching it up because people consume content differently and it keeps your brand interesting and entertaining. You're never going to see from me 10 memes in a row. You're going to see a meme. You're going
Hmm.
to see a text conversation. You're going to see a carousel post. You're going to see a swiper. You're going to see a reaction. Like you have to
Hmm.
have a bunch of different types of content, the way it's formatted with the topic.
Well, it's funny. I had a colleague here earlier and she's going to do a listing video and she's like, hey, do you have anything witty or like fun I can say? And I was like, listen, I've just been listening to like the Broke Agent stuff and OverAsk podcast. I'm like, you know what you should do? Go big and like make a joke or like do something
Right.
outrageous. And she's like, what? I was like, I don't know. I've just been consuming so much. That's all I can think about right now.
Do something outrageous. Yeah, that's a
Do something
very simple advice
outrageous.
that I'm sure she doesn't want to follow.
If she does, I'll tag you in it because I'll be like, look, this is your advice. You don't know
Right.
this, but it was your advice.
Exactly.
Is it true when you first started off your account and content creation, you were trying to be a little bit more like out there and ruffle feathers, really pushing the envelope and have over time maybe just dialed it
The
back
hell
just slightly?
you saying I'm soft now?
Well, no. I didn't say
As
that, but I mean, underlining is there.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
mean, I
joking.
think I think everybody kind of feels this. I'm
Yeah.
sure Matt feels this. I'm sure anyone that's kind of grown a brand, as your audience grows, your responsibility grows a little bit, and then the
Mhm.
amount of people you could piss off grows for sure. So I know a lot of people think it's really cool and easy to just say, well, just don't give a fuck and post whatever you want and be as edgy as humanly possible. But when you're starting something out, of course, you're testing out which joke
Mhm.
crosses a line, which joke doesn't, what's politically correct, what isn't. 2015, by the way, completely different
Mhm.
environment in terms of
Mhm.
posting social content.
Yeah,
Like
you almost can't breathe right now without
this
somebody
is,
being upset.
yeah, this is, before Instagram stories, I even want to say.
Mhm.
This is well before Instagram Reels. This is, just a completely different time when you're still posting almost on people's Facebook walls, So like it's not.
Yes.
So back then, of course, like when I'm testing out the content, I have to
Mhm.
see, is this insulting? Yes. Okay. Don't do this. Is this too political? Yes. Okay. Don't do this. Is this
Yes.
move the needle? Okay. Yes. Then keep doing this. So we're still always trying to be edgy because we do want to
Mhm.
push that line. And obviously, like, we don't want to be like, oh, I just want to create content for the followers now. But of
Mhm.
course, it's something you have to be aware of. I'm trying to appeal to a large audience of real estate agents.
Mhm.
If you're a real estate agent, you don't have to take this advice because maybe you
Mhm.
only want to attract the clients that want to work with you. So if you want to be super political or edgy or
Yes, right.
one-sided on a specific issue, that's
Mhm.
fine. But for me, I know a lot of people have critiqued this too, where it's just like, yeah, like you've gotten soft or something. But actually, I don't know if anyone said
I
that
know,
or
it's like, I think we're extrapolating here, but that's
okay, maybe.
okay.
Well, now it's in my head, so now I'm going to be posting something completely insane.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a piece of content that you've posted or shared that got a reaction that like maybe you weren't expecting? So maybe you thought everybody was going to find it funny or make a lot of people angry or I don't know, sign up for an email, whatever. Was there anything that you were like, oh shit, I did not expect for good or bad? This could be a good or bad.
My wife and I are looking for houses right now in Los Angeles. And I went to 5 open houses a couple Sundays ago. And
Do
for the
people
five,
recognize you at these open houses? I'm
yeah,
just curious.
yeah,
Okay.
a lot of time they do. Sometimes they
Yeah.
don't. Usually, if it's the younger agents, they do. It's not like I'm wearing a broke agent shirt, so
You
not.
should.
Yeah, maybe I could get a price reduction so they don't think I'll write them up. But 4 of the 5 agents were like insane helicopter agents, meaning the
Oh,
second I walked in, they were up my ass. They were
mhm.
yapping to me about the properties. They were
Yeah.
following my wife and I into every room, like didn't leave our hip. It was extremely uncomfortable and just an
Yeah.
awful way to go about the vibe of
Mhm.
the open house and showing the actual property. Like the desperation was just oozing out of their pores. So I
Yeah.
did an Instagram video, a reel, where I was in my car after these, and I posted saying, like, I am shocked at the amount of helicopter agents still in existence. I just went to 5 open houses, 4 of them, describing exactly what I just described to you
Hmm.
in detail. Then I got a bunch of comments saying, like, this guy's making up the story, which I thought was funny. The story was not made up at all, but like people were saying that. And then a bunch of
Yeah.
people saying, like, damn, dude, like you used to be an agent. Like, why are you shitting on all these agents? Or like,
Hmm.
now you
Yeah.
think because you have a brand, you could use your platform to basically like discredit a bunch of agents. Then I watched
You're
it
like, I
again.
didn't say that. I didn't do that.
No,
Yeah.
maybe this is like, empathetic, and I want to
Yeah.
be an advocate for real estate agents, right? I'm not
Hmm.
trying to do anything that makes the industry look bad, despite making jokes about the industry for, 9+ years. My goal is to not like it's a very
Yeah.
sensitive time for real estate agents right now in the sense that the
The shifting
overall,
market and
well, the shifting market, the commission lawsuits,
lawsuits. Yeah.
NAR, like there's so many different factors at play here where the general
Hmm.
tone is hatred towards real estate agents. Everyone just thinks that agents are, money grabbing car salesmen that are just trying to pocket as much commission as possible. So I didn't
Yeah.
like that the reaction was so negative to that video. I got
Yeah.
probably 90% positive comments,
Hmm.
but I also thought about the agents that I posted about. I never used
Hmm.
their names or anything, but I was
Yeah.
like, damn, what if they, remember me coming in and then see
Hmm.
this post and see that I'm just making fun of them immediately. And I started to feel bad about that. So then I yanked it.
Aw. Now I feel bad.
I
But
know,
I'm
right?
Canadian, so I feel bad for everything. I was like,
I
oh
mean, I
no,
feel bad
hurt
for everything
feelings.
too.
I feel bad for everything. But I mean, part of what made you so popular, in part initially, is poking fun at the like
Of
really
course.
non-glamorous parts of real estate. Because there's a lot that people, the general population, doesn't understand that we do. And B, it freaking sucks.
In
I mean,
hindsight, I wish I did not remove that, by the way. Like
yeah,
I was just a moment of weakness.
weakness.
I was on the Peloton. I was like in my own head and I was just like, I don't really want this negativity out there, but I wish I had like a different attitude towards a lot of it. But there
Hmm.
really hasn't been that much that I've pulled down unless it's just
Hmm.
getting shit engagement. I've done some kind of political stuff back during the 2016 election, and I
Hmm.
realized like that is a topic that you don't want to touch.
Hmm.
And
Especially in America. Well, even Canada. I mean, North
yeah,
America. We'll say North America. It's like really hot button, very polarizing.
just using even the
Not good.
faces of politicians as memes, even like using a Bernie Sanders
Oh,
reaction shot as a meme or
there's
doing
some really
something.
good ones about him though, like good
Oh,
memes out
of
there.
course. And like, this was Trump Hillary. And back then I was always trying to figure out other accounts, whether it was bad real estate picks or real estate news. So I started a real estate news account. There was data on an Inman article that said the majority of agents were voting for Hillary or something like that. So I just posted that and then made some joke about emails. This is before I even knew what was going on politically. Really, I was just like, oh, this is a funny joke and it's a
Yeah.
stat. I'm combining humor with this.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
pushback on that post was so bad that I was like, okay, that's a topic that I know is just only going to diminish my
Yeah.
audience. And not everything is to gain audience. Like if I lose followers because they disagree with something, that's totally fine. But if it's
Hmm.
something that polarizing where you're like either taking a side or you're just like mentioning
Yeah.
something that's that political, then as a brand trying to appeal to these mass
Hmm.
amount of people, that's something I knew to not do anymore.
Well, and to that point, like your audience has obviously shifted a little bit as you've grown, right? Like
Correct.
your what you're building has shifted, so evolved, if you will. So like you have
Yes.
to sort of be mindful, I guess, of that.
Yeah. But
Okay.
now, after this, I'm gonna get edgier and go back to the roots.
But like those Canadians, wow, harsh.
Yeah, exactly.
I picked up that you're friends with Matt, and some of his stuff is very edgy. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Like it's not that edgy. I love Matt. Just curse words. Curse words I don't think are that
oh,
edgy. I'm not discrediting his edginess. Like
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
cursing is slightly more edgier, but it's not like Matt's so good at it. Like
Mhm.
the curse words are perfectly timed in the videos.
It seems to
Everything
just fit his persona.
it
Like
does.
it seems to just like be really authentic. Like obviously I have no idea who he is. You know what I mean? Like it would be different if it was somebody else and you're like, oh wow, that doesn't seem to fit. But it seems to just fit like the who he is, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, he's great at it. And he's
Yeah.
constantly like I'll have brainstorm sessions with him. Well, he'll send me a video and be like, is this too edgy? Is this on the line? And
Hmm.
then we'll have conversations back and forth. Like it's all very he's very intentional with what he's posting, where it's like, okay, I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, but at the same time,
Yeah.
let's push that comedic line. Because if you don't do it, then stuff just stops becoming funny. So he's really good at kind of pushing that Overton window a little bit more and more. He's awesome.
There's this funny lady, I think she's from the States. Her name's the Entitled Housewife.
I haven't seen her.
She now does, oh, you'll look her up after. She is so, your wife actually may find her more funny than you, actually, because
Right.
I find her more funny than my husband.
The Entitled Housewife?
Entitled Housewife.
Okay.
She is so funny. And like, she just essentially walks around, talks to herself, and like pretends to yell at her husband. But
I'll
like
take a
seems
look.
very on brand. Like I'm sure if I'm envisioning like maybe if I met her and we were like having a cocktail or something, like that's exactly what I was gonna get,
Right.
It feels like authentic.
Exactly.
Okay, so being mindful of time, is there any other like cool upcoming projects or things that you're working on besides BAM Camp?
Yeah, I think it's really events, digital events. We have that BAM Chell event coming up. We have 3 BAM camps, and then we have BAM Mania coming up in October.
Oh, tell me about BAM Mania. Like, what's that?
It's
in
going to be like
Vegas?
in Vegas. That's going to be our big
wow.
conference. So the BAM camps are all these intimate, 100 to 200 people events where you learn an enormous amount. BAM Mania is going to be 500 people. I don't really know the twist we're going to have yet, but at our last BAM camp, we had Derek Gregory MC it. So he was telling jokes in between and kind of roasting each speaker, which was like a hilarious twist. So we're kind of figuring out which speakers to put at which event, what BAM Mania is going to look like. But we have the dates locked in, and we're locking in the venue for that right now. So
that's awesome.
Other than that, it's just constantly evolving, trying to grow the audience, trying to figure out what shows work, trying to figure out what podcasts do well, which converts, what doesn't, and just constantly trying to get better every single day. What a cliche, awful way to end this. Constantly trying to get better every day.
Rewind.
But,
no, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
No, I think that's cool. Okay, I'm gonna look into BAM Mania. I've never been to Vegas, so maybe that'll
think you'll like it. I don't know.
It just seems like Vegas is like just too wild. Like Nashville is very fun. Scottsdale is very fun. But I hear Vegas is like even more wild. And I'm like, I don't know. It could just be too much for me.
Well, you could do Vegas a ton of different ways. It's not like you have to go to Marquee until 3 a.m. clubbing. Like you could go to nice restaurants. There's nice hotels. You could gamble a little bit.
I'm only laughing because do you know how many people have said that? Like, that there's more to Vegas than like the pool party.
Correct.
So I was like, no, I did not know that.
Right. Well, it is important because you see Vegas, but like there's so many different paths. Like you could walk in the hotel and be like, I'm going to do something crazy right now. Or you could go up to your room, and there's just so many different ways to go about it. I don't know where I'm going with that. But I just mean like you're being pulled in different directions. There's a slot machine calling your name, or there's a blackjack table. There's a
You
club,
got options.
There's great food. There's a show. There's a conference. Do you want to actually go in the conference? You just want to stay in the casino?
Choose your adventure.
Sports book. Choose your adventure. Exactly.
Are you ever going to take BAM Camp to Canada?
Probably at some point. Yeah.
It seems like there's a lot of Canadians that are like
we have a ton of. Yeah, I love the Canadians. I do. I love Matt,
Canadians.
Brad McCollum. I like all those guys and girls.
Guys and gals. I don't think that you actually had a girl's name in there. You said Matt and Brad. So
Emma Pace, Amy Coughlin.
There you go. We have options there.
Exactly. Kristen sells houses. You know her?
Nope, not at all.
Okay.
Where is she? Toronto as well?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll Google it. It's fine.
Yeah. Just somewhere up there.
Canada's kind of big. It's like the States.
I know. I've seen it. I know what it is.
It's kind of big. It's funny. I think I told you I was just in Sedona, and I always start very big when someone's like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Canada." And they're like, "Cool, where?" And I'm like, "Alberta." They're like, "No idea." I was like, "Okay, I'm from Canada."
Just start narrowing it down and then expanding it again.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, this isn't going anywhere, so we'll just say Canada. Well, this was so freaking fun, and I knew I was gonna laugh a lot, but I didn't know how much I was gonna laugh. So thank you very much. I mean, the bar was high, but you delivered. So thank you so much for taking time. I know you're incredibly busy, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining the conversation and exploring both current and predicted future real estate trends. Want to keep the conversation going? You can find us, Future RE, on both Instagram and TikTok.